Creators, your new crowdfunding launch sidekick is here. The comic book crowdfunding planner from ComixLaunch is your ultimate step-by-step companion to planning, optimizing, and executing your crowdfunding campaign, helping hardworking creators stay organized, execute with confidence, and maximize success on every launch.
Hey, I'm Tyler James, publisher of Comics Tribe and host of the ComixLaunch podcast,
which has been helping comic creators launch successful crowdfunding campaigns for nearly a decade. In that time, I've seen the same struggles come up again and again. Making a great comic, but no idea where to start with crowdfunding it, overwhelm at all the steps to launch and fear of missing something important, exhaustion during the campaign, and struggling with the emotional roller coaster of launching.
and finishing the campaign and still being unsure what worked, what didn't, and how to get better results the next time. If any of those challenges sound familiar,
you are not alone, and it's not your fault. Crowdfunding a comic requires a completely different skill set than making one. The good news is I have something that can help. To celebrate the 10th anniversary of ComixLaunch, I've distilled years of my own crowdfunding experience and the insights of hundreds of amazing guests I've had on the show into one essential tool. This new comic book crowdfunding planner is really 4 powerful books in one, designed to help during every phase of your launch. First, it's a launch planner, providing a step-by-step roadmap including guided templates and battle-tested ComixLaunch exercises to build a winning campaign. Second, it's an execution checklist, including action items and pro tips for every aspect of your project so you can launch with confidence. Third, it's a daily campaign journal with dedicated pages to track your campaign progress each day of your launch, prioritize your daily promotional activities, and stay in command of your project. And fourth, it's a post-launch debrief with a proven post-mortem process to capture what worked, what didn't, and what you'll improve on so that your next launch is even better. The Comic Book Crowdfunding Planner is perfect for first-time Kickstarter creators who want a clear roadmap from start to funded.
When it comes to running a Kickstarter, I never thought I could do it until I started using Tyler's tools and tips and tricks.
I have raised over $40,000 US. Everything I have launched has been done using the ComixLaunch tools. It's been the backbone of my success as a creator.
Experienced crowdfunders who want to refine and optimize their launch processes and get to that next level of funding success.
I've raised over $30,000 on Kickstarter. I wouldn't have been able to accomplish this without ComixLaunch. Tyler's guides have made it an effortless and stress-free process.
Tailor-made specifically for comic book creators, writers, artists, and publishers looking to streamline their campaigns and optimize their crowdfunding efforts.
The ability to break down the daunting task of running a Kickstarter into small, well-defined, achievable tasks gave me the confidence to finally launch a campaign.
I really needed an instruction manual, and that is exactly what Tyler gave me.
Perfect for anyone who has struggled with crowdfunding overwhelm and could use a physical tool to help focus before, during, and after your launch.
The timing of finding Tyler and his work was perfect for me because I didn't know what I was doing.
What helped me was getting access to all of the tools that Tyler puts together.
6 campaigns raised about almost $27,000, and I can honestly say I wouldn't have had anywhere near the success without ComixLaunch.
The tools included in Tyler James' planner were essential to getting the ball rolling for me.
Everything I know about running Kickstarters I learned from ComixLaunch.
Finally, it's for all the thousands of ComixLaunch listeners who have been asking for a resource like this for nearly a decade. For rewards, the new planner is available in a number of formats. A beautiful physical planner with a durable faux leather cover, digital PDF version with ready-to-print pages, and discounted multi-pack bundles for creators and publishers with many project launches on the horizon. All backers will be thanked by name on the ComixLaunch podcast, and there's limited show sponsorship opportunities available. I'm also opening my schedule for a few one-on-one crowdfunding coaching and mentorship opportunities, and you can also get access to some of the ComixLaunch Pro courses during this campaign.
Let's make your next launch the best one ever.
Back the Comic Book Crowdfunding Planner today, and I can't wait to see what you launch next.
Prepare to launch in 3, 2, 1.
Hello there, everybody. Tyler James from Comics Launch here. I've got Jesse Judy hanging out backstage, and I'm going to be bringing Jesse on in just a bit to have a great conversation about comics crowdfunding and all things related to that. But on today's broadcast, as we've been doing for these daily live streams, start by welcoming y'all and thanking everybody for tuning in. I'll give a quick little update on the new comic book crowdfunding planner launch, as well as jump in and thank some backers. I've been trying to thank every single backer by name and been working through that list. I'm going to give it a daily launch lesson, and then we will jump in and transition to bringing Jesse on and have a conversation about that launch lesson, as well as get some insights from him on his crowdfunding journey thus far. So thanks for tuning in. If you have questions for myself, if you have questions for Judy, if you have questions about the Comics Launch Planner, don't be shy. Leave them in the chat, whether you're watching the replay or the live stream. Now, just to give a quick little update on the project, we are now over $13,000 in funding for the new Comics Launch crowdfunding planner, over 350 awesome backers, 16 days to go, and a lot of fun still to have. Some surprises still in store. We'll be rolling some things out as well. But I'm just excited that this planner is going to get in the hands of a lot of creators that'll hopefully put it to good use. And, I tried to fill up my Kickstarter page with as many of the creators as possible who I've had the chance to sort of interact with and help and just give an encouraging word, give a tip, give a strategy to over the years. And the idea that this planner will be a tool that maybe helps contribute to more awesome launches over the years definitely warms my heart. So I appreciate everyone that's been a part of it so far, and I'm excited that we still have a lot of time left and the opportunity to get it into the hands of a lot more talented creators. But to thank some backers, let's thank the next 30 backers. I'm still working through my awesome day one list of backers, but got a shout out to Crawford Wheeler II, Kurt Rauer, Katie Shaw, Tom Levine, Comics Launch Pro member Tom Levine. Also thank Katie for recommending my guest last week and just getting the word out about Comics Launch. So yeah, it's been fun to just see that this is a pretty small community. Josh Figueroa, also Comics Launch Pro member. Comic Times Martin T. Piro. Check out his TikTok. He puts out a lot of good content over there. Wild Man, great name. Winston F. Pasquale. Jose Garcia, Gamal Hennessy, Business of Comics, Gamal also does a lot of work with the Comics Experience, good resource to have. And if you need a lawyer in the comic space, Gamal is your man. Scott Cirkland, Preston Squire, Marv, aka Mr. Fish, Bill Schmidt, and John Carroll. Then I also want to shout out Brett Giuliano. Brett's a Comics Launch Pro member, and also someone sent over a testimonial who's featured in the promotion of this planner as well. Corbzor, Tisso Spencer, Nathan Luth, Edward Newby, Per Hammer, Jeremy Shepard, Kurt Zauer, J. Michael Donahue, Michael J. Florio Williams, Wesley Gift, Adam Reeves, Nino, Daniel Peckman, and Michael Pennick, another Comics Launch Pro member, to round out the creators, the backers for who are day one backers. And definitely have a lot more backers still to thank because they keep coming in, which is great. But I promise I'm going to thank every single one of these backers by name over the course of this campaign. And thankfully, it is truly a campaign. We've got time to do it. All right. I want to share today's comic book crowdfunding tip of the day. And this is a tip that more creators should be employing. And if you're not already employing, this could be mean the difference between people backing or not backing your campaign. And that is to let others sing your praises. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that while it is super important that you are passionate about your project, that you believe in your project, that you love your project, and that you are willing to go out there and tell the world how great your project is, you can tell your the world that your comic is amazing, but it really is 10 times more powerful when someone else is saying that what you've created is amazing. Testimonials, endorsements, reviews, social proof are a secret sauce to turning your Kickstarter page into a decent page, to a page that is high converting. Because when you can provide evidence that there are other people that are behind you, that like what you're creating, that give it, 2 thumbs up, when you do that, you are really going to make it easier for backers to have the confidence to come and back you and back your project. There's a lot of reason for this. First among them is that people are naturally skeptical. Consumers are super skeptical. Consumers are evolved. Consumers are weary that they're just being sold a bundle of goods. But consumers also are willing to trust the words and the endorsements of people who are like them. It's why sites like Rotten Tomatoes are so popular, right? Aggregating people want to watch, and people want to support, and people want to go to movies that other people have said that, oh, these are actually pretty good. They want that confidence that they're going to be spending their hard-earned money on something that is worth spending the time and money on. And so most people, they look at things like Amazon reviews or Rotten Tomato reviews or comic book reviews. That these kinds of things do make a difference. Part of the reason that it makes a difference is it reduces the perception of risk. There are some creators that are really great at like showing pictures of happy backers that they've delivered their books to in the past. And what that does is it just says, oh, hey, here's somebody that I can trust with my money in advance because they've proven that they deliver on their rewards. And if you can see pictures of happy people with their books, or if you can see reviews from creators who are in some ways lending their own reputation and putting that on the line when they say nice things about someone's comic through the form of endorsements, or think about review sites, their reputation is on the line. They wouldn't want to recommend books that aren't going to be really good products, right? And so when you can share that, it really reduces the risk for people. And then what they also do is when it feels like there's a movement behind your product, when it feels like there's a lot of people that are standing up and are vouching for the thing that you're creating, that amplifies the FOMO. It amplifies the fear of missing out on something really, really good. And if you can create that the experience for the backer where they're like, oh, wow, like, no, it's not like the backer is in a position where, oh, well, I'm going to donate to this cause. No, it's actually, crap, if I don't get in on this Kickstarter campaign, like all of these other people that I see that are excited about this product launch, I'm going to really feel like I'm missing out on something. And so these are reasons why this is so powerful. And just some examples of creators that are ways that you can use this. Obviously to go meta, I am using and leaning heavily into the marketing of my project here. I'm leaning on social proof. I'm leaning on endorsements from other creators. This is a book that was made with comic book creators in mind, creators that I've been working with inside of the ComixLaunch program, people that I've been talking to on my podcast for a decade now. This is the audience that I've really been leaning in and serving. And so it was really a powerful piece of the launch for this for me to lean in and go out there and ask these creators for some endorsements and to just share how some of the things that I've shared with them over the years that I've packed into this new planner have helped them. So that the focus is not on me just saying, hey, this is really, really good stuff. It's, oh, here's real creators that have had lots of success on the Kickstarter platform already, saying that this has been a part of that success. And so that's very powerful. Another example of a creator that's really great at activating social proof for each and every one of his campaigns is Rob Multari. Rob will often leans into his wolf pack. He encourages all of his backers to take pics and share pics of their rewards when they get their Kickstarters from him, and to share them on social media. And then Rob also has a nice system where he's going and he's actively collecting all of these images and keeping all of this social proof. And anytime someone says something nice about his series Nightwolf, he's capturing that and he's displaying that and sharing that on his Kickstarter pages and in his marketing during his launches. And this, just like a wall of images of happy people with books that you delivered, like that, it goes so much, it does so much for you, proving that you are a creator who can deliver on your promises. Another thing that is obviously very effective, and here's an image from a Kickstarter page that I'm working on, and I'm using the new planner to help plan this next Comics Tribe launch, but for a book called Grolgar and Shanks by Joe Mulvey and John Lees. But the team has reached out to a lot of the creator peer friends that we know in order to get some really great pull quotes. And so we're leaning into that, and we're including those on the Kickstarter page. And so, other past projects, we've really tried to get and blend that in so that it's clear that these are products that other people other than us are vouching for and saying, hey, this is worth your time. So these are some things that you definitely want to lean into and do. And the Comics Launch Planner that I've created has some tools in it that will hopefully help remind you and help you collect and display and utilize that social proof, those endorsements of others in your Kickstarter campaign. So there's a media checklist that'll help you go out and get this stuff. There's a PR and media outreach that includes things like getting reviews, getting interviews, even doing guest posts so that you're featured in other places that have some of an audience and a following. And then there's also the page design checklist, which is the same checklist that I've used to just make sure that I'm baking all of this stuff in to each and every Kickstarter page that I'm building out for these projects, and adding these trust elements, these endorsement elements that other people are vouching for what it is that I'm doing. And so just as a few tips to get and gather social proof, you want to take, especially when you're just starting out, you want to take any and all social proof that you can get your hands on. And so that could be from readers, that could be from fans. If you know creators that are your peers, reach out to them. If you want to take a flyer and be brave and reach out to a few creators that maybe inspired your work, and just take a flyer and ask if they might consider providing a pull quote. I know some creators that have done that and been shocked at the big names that they're able to get that vouch for their book, and then they can use that in all their marketing. Reaching out to press or to podcasts in order to try to get those endorsements or reviews, and then having a process in place such that you are, after your first successful campaign or any campaign, or even if it's just like a debut at a comic book convention, make sure that you're taking pictures of people that are coming by your table or interested in your book or buying your book. Ask to take a picture of them with the book. That can come across and just tells in the picture. It provides a lot of social proof that you might not otherwise have. And these are kind of things where once you have that social proof, you can use it all over the place. You can use it in your social media posts. You can use it in ads. You can use it in here's what the critics are saying, or here's some advanced praise on your Kickstarter page. You can bake it into your Kickstarter videos or your trailers, and then use it liberally in your emails. Don't take it from me. Here's what other creators are saying, that sort of thing. And again, the Comics Launch Planner is designed to help you take that and get the most out of it. So to wrap things up, P.T. Barnum said, "Nothing draws a crowd like a crowd." And so this is especially true for crowdfunding. The more funding that you get, the more backers that you get, the more proof that you have that other people are vouching for that project, the easier it is to get more and more people to come and support it. So inviting others to speak for your work and amplifying that speech during your launch is one of the best things that you can do to get better at this whole crowdfunding thing. So make sure that you're baking that into each and every launch. All right, in just a sec, I'm going to bring on my guest today, but I also wanted to remind everyone that the invite is open. If you are launching a Kickstarter this month, or if you have a Kickstarter that you maybe want to promote that might launch in the future, come join me, ComixLaunch.com/invite. We'll chat about you, your projects, and your journey so far. I'm really leaning in this month to having conversations with as many creators as I possibly can about this great these platforms for crowdfunding and making comics. That's what ComixLaunch has been all about since the very beginning. And so with the 10-year anniversary, I'm excited to lean all the way into that. With that said, let's bring on my guest today. And in case you are unfamiliar with him or his work, Judy is a screenwriter, a filmmaker, and a former media literacy teacher who is the author, illustrator, and creator of the award-winning new manga series Ashes of Eden. He also founded Arc Punk Comics, which is a renegade indie publishing house that puts the occult in pop culture. Welcome to ComixLaunch, Jesse. How you doing, man?
Doing great. Thank you for the amazing intro. That was the kindest thing I've heard all day.
Well, let's hope it's just the beginning of the praise that I will heap on you. But others will.
Oh man, well I definitely have to return the praise. Everything that you're doing with the crowdfunding planner, like giving us a physical, tangible version of the course that we've all been a part of for years and years. That's exciting. And I just have to say, like, my success that I've seen with Ashes of Eden so far would not have even been possible without the ComixLaunch course. So if you're out there, if you're an indie creator, if you're, scratching your head thinking, I made the book, now how do I get it out to people? This is the place. Like, Tyler is the guy. You're in the right spot.
Well, thanks for saying that, Jesse. I appreciate you. And it's always, it's enjoyable to see how creators sort of take the community, take the elements from the ComixLaunch course and the other tools that I've created over the years, but then really put their own spins onto it and make it their own. And then they become the ones that are kind of inspiring other people that are rippling down from them. So I'm sure you've already had people reach out to you about, oh, hey, how'd you make this book? How did you even get started? And you now have a baseline, like a strong baseline foundation for how to help others as well. And I think that's a big part of the reason why the comics community truly is a community.
Oh, for sure.
So glad to see that. So yeah, talk to me and share a little bit about your project, Ashes of Eden. I know right now you have the issue 1 and 2, your sophomore launch, I believe, coming up, and it's in pre-launch, and you'll launch later this summer. But what can you tell us about Ashes of Eden?
Oh my God. So Ashes of Eden comes from a really special place in my heart. For those of you who don't know, I ran a film production company for 10 years in New York City. And we were a boutique mom and pop shop. We did a lot of commercial work, but we grew to the place where we were able to start producing our own scripts, which if you're an indie filmmaker, you know how huge that is. And that was a really beautiful thing, just getting to make the things I love with the people I love all the time. But then the pandemic hit, right? And our doors were closed. The studio was no more, but there were still stories to tell. So in a last-ditch effort, I storyboarded this script that had just been like burning in the back of my head for a while. I storyboarded it. I put it to my producing partners. And I'm like, look, here's a Hail Mary. Like, I drew it out. Look how easy this would be to shoot. Let's make it happen. Like, one more for the team. And one of my dear best friends and producers, Brandon Martin, took it and looked at it, and he's like, "Dude, I already saw your movie." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You storyboarded it so well. I already saw it. Why are you not making this a book?" And this, like, it took him saying that after a lifetime of loving comics and one day thinking, "Oh, maybe I'll make a comic." It took that moment of him saying that to be like, "Yeah, what am I doing?" So took that storyboard, fleshed it out more, and it felt kind of like, whatever your beliefs are, divine timing. Because the moment I decided to start doing that, I literally found the Comics Launch podcast. And great job SEO.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I know very little with SEO about it, but sometimes you find the right thing when you're looking for it, and it all feels like it feels like it was meant to be. So yeah, happy to hear that. And I know that the pandemic was definitely an opportunity for a lot of people to sort of make pivots, make changes, and crowdfunding is definitely one of the areas that I think came out of the pandemic stronger than it was before. So cool that that was able to go there. So like, it's interesting because I don't think I hear a lot of storyboard. Like I hear screenplays that are written that then become comics, but and I also know of a lot of comic artists that end up taking work as storyboards artists. But I don't often hear it go the other way, where we've got this whole storyboard written out, but now we've got to flesh that into a full comic. You said you were a comic fan, but what did you have to sort of learn to go from storyboard illustrator and a film background to how do we turn this into a real deal comic book? Like were there certain things that you had to learn or unlearn storytelling wise?
I think getting to the point a little faster. You just have to get to especially with action, especially with dialogue, you just have to get to the point a lot faster, I think, in a comic book. And, definitely find different ways to build dramatic tension. One, it's not a moving image. And two, you get like this spread. I don't know, you get this spread to like build an emotional beat. And that's 2 pages to like make a point and get them to turn the page. So that fitting that mechanic into the storytelling background I already have started out as a challenge. But once it sunk in there, it became this beautiful Venn diagram of like, oh, this is what I was meant to do. Like loving comics my whole life and loving film. It's like, it's not that different. It's just sort of the medium you're putting it out in. I'd say the big thing was getting out of 16:9, and then starting to understand the format is this way.
Yeah, and I know. I mean, for some purposes, like Kickstarter image purposes, anyway, having like a strong familiarity with what works at sort of 16:9 is great for the project image, and I think you've got a really great one for this new issue. Very compelling. But yeah, telling things in like the sequential arts with static images versus moving images. I think there's a lot of cheats that storyboard artists can do with like, we'll just draw some arrows and that'll tell you you're going from here to there and all this stuff. And that doesn't work as it's not how things work with sequential images.
No,
but you can definitely learn a lot about there are certain things, with building moments for the page turn, understanding when a double page spread or a splash page can have maximum impact versus trying to be economical with your storytelling. A lot of skills that need to be learned and mastered over the years. What is it about this story that you think really lends itself to the comic medium? And then also, like, do you still have the goal to potentially one day do an animated version of this as well?
So yes and yes. I think the thing that lends it to the comic medium really well is that I don't need a boardroom of producers to approve like crazy special effects now. I don't need, to go to Scandinavia or Antarctica to get like a really snowy, icy setting. I can draw that. So it's literally all the stuff I used to fight tooth and nail for around a table of producers. Like it all just happens right here now, and I think that's very freeing. And I think I'll play devil's advocate with that too. The other part of that is it also let me know when I bit off more than I could chew, because it's like, okay, drawing takes a long time. I'm sure anyone that's jumping into making comics finds out fast. The hours you spend at your tablet or your sketchbook or your boards, it takes way longer than just pointing a camera at it and shooting. So that's sort of the balance, I guess, the checks and balance of it. But I would say I'll take that any day over fighting around a round table of, people telling me you can't make that happen. No one can say that anymore. I think once you go into a comic book. So that's pretty cool. I like that freedom of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely things that you can do in comics that will take longer or take shorter, but the reality is, budgets do not scale, or budgets do not scale the way they can based on genre or this and that. The drawing a fantasy comic that has a dozen locations and tons of races and vast differences in technology, like it's no more expensive than even doing your slice of life comic. It might take more imagination or more world building, but not necessarily. But it's still your same basic tools are required to do it. So the theme of the day today was on social proof, and you're someone who, for your first launch, having never done a comic, the social proof and having other people sing your praises thing might be a little bit difficult for a first time comic book launcher. I'm curious, were there any things that you did to like try to communicate during your launch that, hey, even if I've never made a comic before or launched a Kickstarter before, I'm a trustworthy creator? And then are there things that you're hoping to lean into with this next launch now that you have some experience under your belt?
For sure. So my team and I kind of decided to play our first one on easy mode. And what that required on the back end was really hard mode. I finished the entire book before we launched, and I did a pretty massive print run before we launched too, and just like applied my butt off to conventions. So got into as many conventions as we could with the book prior to launch. And it was kind of at first it felt like a little hiccup in the process because I had been following the ComixLaunch course the entire time. And then just at a certain point, I was like, well, I have the book done. I want to launch it, but I'm getting into conventions. And instead of like, at first I was like, oh no, I'm stressing out. Are people on Kickstarter going to be upset that I've already put this in people's hands? And it was actually you who kind of helped me shift the mindset on one of our ComixLaunch live trainings. It's like, no, like the people on Kickstarter are just going to be excited that you're there. Go get it into as many hands as you can. And we ended up using those conventions to build the social proof before we even launched.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to do it. And when I think about in terms of social proof. So yeah, I mean, this is something that you can do even if it's your first launch, and in a lot of cases, printing up a short. Do you know what that first print run was, or like the short run that you did for these conventions?
It was a short run of 1,000. Oh,
so okay. So, or you could go the Jesse route, and that's sometimes sometimes you got to take a, burn the bridges moment and say, I'm all in on this. Right. And so you print up 1,000 books. I think most creators they'll come in and they might print 25, but
right.
There's definitely advantages to just saying, hey, hell or high water. We're investing up front in making sure that we can put this book at a nice, affordable, like no-brainer price into as many people's hands as possible. And so, so that can be a great way to get that social proof right off the bat. It shows that you're a creator that's out there, that's putting the work in, and definitely can go a long way. So you went to like how many let's see, we got Anime New York, and
Anime Expo LA.
Anime Expo. Cool.
Yeah.
So, even here on a first Kickstarter launch, coming up with ways to load it up with social proof is definitely can go a long way. And go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go for it.
I was just going to ask you to continue on how you're, anything else that you might have done or how you're hoping to build on that with the next launch.
Yeah. So before we even did the print run, there were a couple of years where I was just figuring out ways to digitally get it out there. Cause I did, I was one of the students that did the list launch course before I even jumped into the ComixLaunch course.
Okay.
Yep. So list launch, it really took me a couple of years to get through, just with work schedule and figuring out the mechanics of it. But I'm really glad, and I got to give you credit for this, for building out that tier of list launch and then ComixLaunch and then ad launch and then all the other fun stuff we get. Because list launch gave me the opportunity to brainstorm and come up with a way to get people my comic before we even printed. So originally I was going to conventions with business cards with a QR code on the back, and you could scan it. It'll take you to the landing page. You could sign up. You're on the email list. And I was like, I'm feeling good about that. I'm building my email list. But then I was finding that these business cards, 80% of the time, were ending up in the circular filing system, the garbage can.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why am I printing all these? People aren't signing up. I'm like, I feel really slow about building my audience list or my email list. But then going through the list launch gave me that opportunity to brainstorm, okay, how do I solve that problem of using something in person that maybe isn't the book yet, that still gets people excited about being on the list, and it being an in-person thing, raising the chances that they're going to convert. So we figured out, and you'll see it in some of those convention photos actually don't even have the book in them. It's people holding up a crystal. So we designed this crystal based off of the book. So the crystal is super important to the story of Ashes of Eden. Yeah, right there. So a little bit of the sweaty deep lore. Ashes of Eden is the story of humanity resurfacing to a new dawn after an apocalypse, after we've been wiped from the earth. But these emerging new humans discover these halon crystals that power their towns, power their technology, keep their villages warm, keep their families safe in this tundra world they wake up in. So they have these brave explorers called Terra Divers, and that's who our main character is. He's a aspiring Terra Diver who go and they dive in these underground ruins, and they bring up these crystals. Now, one day, a dive goes horribly wrong, and our main hero, Ash, instead of uncovering crystals, he unearths a girl named Eden from a forgotten civilization. And that's kind of the beginning of the journey. And when they come together, their bond sort of awakens this ability to hear these vibrations in these crystals. Realizing that, okay, the crystals that we use to power our technology, they were meant for something else, something way more ancient in them. And they find out it's data from the world that came before, even before our time, ancient data. So what we wanted to do to kind of pull you into the world a little bit more is find out how to put secret data inside a crystal to get you free comics. So you'll see here, there's an NFC chip inside this crystal.
Yeah.
And when you tap that to your cell phone, that brings you to the landing page where you can sign up. And you get like the full Ashes of Eden library.
That's pretty cool. So yeah, so you just hold the crystal up to your phone and it will trigger.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it.
And we saw conversion rates to the email list like up by 75%, to where it's like the tiniest margin now of people who don't sign up if they tap the crystal. So that solved like the terrible business card problem with the QR code, which is great. I think we should still try that effort. But yeah, now we're heavily leaning into this concept for future campaigns and getting people on board. Now we treat it as like our season pass. So if you back this on Kickstarter and tap it to your phone, it gives you like a season pass access to the first 5 issues as they release digitally. So before they even ever go to Kickstarter, before they ever go to print, if you get the crystal, you're our VIP readers.
Yeah, that's, leaning into the power of novelty and keeping it on brand, but then, having a strategic, this is what we're doing this for. We're going to get them on our email list. We're going to build that following, and we're going to, get them to actually take the actions that we want. And I love the pivot, recognizing, using some data, saying, hey, most of these business cards, it's not converting.
Right.
I know I still need to build that email list and get people following, and I want people to be reading and engaging with this material. So let me provide them a novel experience such that it compels them to, take action that they might not otherwise if it were just a business card. I just think that's really smart stuff, Jesse, and cool, and right on brand for what it is that you're trying to build there.
Thanks, man.
So
fun.
Yeah. And so, we talk about with every, launch being a lesson to learn, the goal and one of the things that I think is unique. And I actually just wrote an article for a UK website that's on sort of comics and culture, but sort of an article talking about, why crowdfunding is such a great fit for comics. And some of and trying to explain how, like, even amid this time of like global economic uncertainty and craziness, and diamond distribution in upheaval and bankruptcy, and a lot of, publishers like, being unsure about, where their businesses are going to stand with tariffs and this and that. And yet last month, comics has a new all-time most funded project, and the success rate for comic projects on Kickstarter continues to go up. And so, trying to explain that to a certain extent, but a big part of the reason that comics are so successful is that we take the approach of, hey, it's not about just one launch and then get in and get out. It's let's build an ecosystem over here so that we can, launch, learn from that launch, and then launch again, bigger and hopefully better. And the ComixLaunch Planner tool is really, designed with that in mind, that this is not like the be all and end all launch. This is an opportunity to launch and a place to capture those launch lessons so you can do better next time. I'm curious, what are some of the things that you learned from the first launch that you might either never do again, or, want to double down and try to, try some new things with the next launch?
That's a great question. And I hope every new launcher, a new indie comic creator, like takes some inspiration from that question, because like I got a little bit discouraged, even though our first campaign was pretty successful. There were some rewards that I designed that I was super excited about, and that got no backers. And it was like, oh man, I put all that effort into creating that offer, and like designing that bundle and that package, and no one seemed to see value in it. And it kind of taught me that, okay, maybe that's just a sign of what stage I'm in with my audience, and that's fine. But the fact that I'm excited about those bundles I do want to keep pursuing them. I just might find a different way to do it. Like, for example, we created a pack, like a giant get everything package that also gets you a producer credit on the book and a cameo in the book, to where you get to open like a little shop in the market square that Ash goes to bring his crystals and change them to currency. We thought that was a super intimate way to bring people into the book. It might just be some of the language we used was verbose, and that was another lesson, like, hey, get to the point quicker, stop burying the lead. So we might try that again. And then the other thing I got super excited about for campaign 1 that I kind of buried the lead on was the lenticular cover, where you can change the cover between him taking off the mask or him with the mask, like seeing the crystal in his goggles. I thought that was super cool. I was really excited to produce that and make that. But we kind of buried the lead. We only put that up in the campaign like 4 or 5 days before the campaign ended. And I was like, oh, of course. Yeah, that's the one. I'm like, of course that one didn't get backers. So now we're launching with that idea. For issue 2, you're going to get the opportunity to get a lenticular of issue 2 and a lenticular and a bundle that comes also with the lenticular of 1 and 2 together as kind of a premium collector's bundle. So like putting it up front.
I definitely have found that that's smart, and something that, like, while I do think there's a lot of value in like mid campaign or late in the campaign drops, like to get like a sudden surge or things like that, there is always the reality that some of the people that are most likely to be your best customers may also be tuned out at that point, or, you know, they made their decision and they're just going to stick to it. And so that's where like pledge managers like Backer Kit, or hopefully the new one that Kickstarter is supporting, giving people the opportunity or being able to like put a question or drive a, hey, are you sure you don't want to, are you sure you don't want to add one of these to your campaign, can actually convert really, really well. So, but yeah, definitely a cool cover. And I've found that the lenticular covers definitely do attract a certain audience. And I was at and what they also do is they make your convention presentation look really cool. We had some of our lenticulars on display at the shows that I did last month, and I didn't sell any, but they did get a lot of people to stop, look, and potentially grab a trade or grab something else. But
that's exciting. That's pretty cool. I remember you launched a lenticular for Sync last year, I think it was. And that cover was gorgeous. Like it was the characters like normal, and then you turn it and it's like the more monsterized version of them.
Yeah, like
that was so cool. It's such a
vampire variant lenticulars. Yeah, it worked out really well. But then I also we tried one where we just, those were sort of two very similar images that were just sort of like transforming from one to the other. But I also we did one with just two of our most popular characters, the fox mask character and the clown character, just turning and one into the other, and that also worked really well. It's just like it's a cool effect that and I'm a child of the 90s comics boom, where gimmick covers were all the rage and all the companies were in a battle to out gimmick each other. So I'm still a sucker.
They worked on me then, and they will still work on me now.
Absolutely. So do you still see this as a 5-issue miniseries, or has the series expanded the more you worked on it? Or
this series has definitely expanded the more I've worked on it. The first 5 issues will be volume 1. We're finding out. And then we'll go on from there. But it's based on the film I originally wrote. I started out as a screenwriter. That's what my original degree was in. So I wrote this story as a feature-length film, and then as we started breaking it down episodically into comic issues, it yielded about 15 to 20 scripts. So if people keep letting us make these, we can keep going with Ashes of Eden. I see this one as a long term. I just don't want to say, hey, you're getting 20 when we're still working on number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I was chatting with my pal Travis Gibb, who is obviously a prolific indie creator. But he reminded me that, when we first met, it was like a decade ago. And I was shilling my comic, The Red 10. And, I told him it was a 10-issue miniseries and I was on issue 2. And he's like, yeah, good luck with that. He's like, we'll never see that. And, exactly. He's right. It did take nearly 10 years to get that to the finish line, but it did ultimately conclude. So
nice. I mean, it's if anything, you're making work for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as you come from a screenwriting background, are there any sort of tips or just screenwriting tricks that you found actually also really do apply well to comics?
Yes, and I found it also kind of affects the comics I like reading too. As a lot of people, and I'm guilty of this myself, my brother, some of my creative partners. I think one of them's here in the chat today, Tui. Thanks for joining us, Tui.
What's up, Tui?
We all love world building. And world building's fun, and you get to George R.R. Martin or George Lucas the hell out of this stuff and build this immersive place that people can go to enjoy and escape or experience your world. But I think what I learned, especially in the transition from screenwriting to comics, is the thing that stays true is it needs to start with character and relationship. Because honestly, that's the modality, that's the vehicle of transformation that we get from the story. We don't get transformation in our soul from watching Star Wars because of Tatooine. We get it because of what Luke has to experience with the relationship with his best friend and his sister and his father. It's those relationships that kind of raise the stakes and make him transform. So I would say,
I think we're seeing this with Andor season, I'm just watching season 2, and it's I'm hooked, and this works as a Star Wars story, but it could be working, in World War II Germany. It could be working in any historical time, in any space. The backdrop is definitely secondary to the characters, as you said, the relationships, the stakes, the emotional gravitas, and the conflict that they're building. And it's almost there's some of the Star Wars elements that we like too, but
just sprinkled in.
Sprinkled in, yeah.
But So I think to any beginning comic creator taking your first steps into making a comic, remember why you fell in love with the characters you're writing. Remember that their relationships are going to be the things that transform them, and that transformation is why we show up. That's why we're there. And by all means, please give us a cool world to experience. But we're there for the transformation that they experience because of their character arc and their relationships.
Yeah, and I think that's also something that I found, anytime you're trying to sell a product or put something out into the world, is providing some insights around the transformation that you're hoping that that will achieve. With any of the Comics Launch Pro courses or the podcast or the new planner, there's really before and after, and what's the arc. We want to take you from disorganized, stressed, feel that constant feeling like I'm missing something, to confident, proactive, in charge, in control, with a growth mindset. But you can also do that with your comics. It's hey, no matter, like, I want you to check out, and by the end of these 32 pages, here's how I hope you're going to feel. And being able to communicate that, and being able to have your audience communicate that in the endorsements that they give or the feedback that they provide is just so powerful, because
that's huge.
The reason people are coming to our stuff is because they want to get away, they want to escape, they want to experience something, they want to feel something. So if we can draw their attention to that and make it clear that that's what we're offering above and beyond a staple bound piece of colored paper, right?
Right.
That can go a long way.
Yeah, I think whether it's film, whether it's comics, I think if you're a storyteller in general, you're in the transformation business. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. And so I'm curious, after your first Kickstarter run, anytime, like for a lot of creators, that first Kickstarter, there's all the feelings around hitting that launch button and will it fund and stress around that. But then you win, you get funded, you're successful, and then you've got 10, 50, 100 people, 1,000 people, whatever, regardless of the size of the launch, that have now trusted you with their money and expecting you to deliver a product. Did you learn anything? Was there anything that was surprising about the fulfillment aspect of your Kickstarter? It probably helped that the book was done and that you had already gotten it in people's hands. That definitely goes a long way. But anything that you learned or tips or lessons that you learned from the fulfillment side of things?
Yeah, I think keeping organized, and that was something that, again, I feel like my issue 1 journey was not super linear. Like I would start on list launch, and then deviate for a little bit to like do R&D and figure shit out, and then come back, and then okay, get back on the track. And that was the beautiful thing of the course, is like there's a checklist. Like you could treat the course as a checklist of like what you need to get done. So even if I had to deviate, whether it was in audience building or launching or fulfillment, even if I had to deviate from like what was in the course, I always had a check mark to come back to get me back on track. It's funny, that really didn't sink in until I was in fulfillment. Even though I had kind of been doing that all along. In fulfillment, it's like, oh, the pressure's on. Like this is other people's product now that needs to get out to them. And then some of it was juggling, like shipping around holidays. I learned that firsthand. Like just give a little bit more lead time if you plan on shipping around the holidays. Because sometimes you think you're getting somebody their reward or their pledge for Christmas, and it's not coming until after New Year's,
Yeah. And
so learn that the hard way.
There's only so much you can control when it comes to shipping, but you want to try to minimize as many issues and be known as a creator that delivers on their promises and provides that good experience, so that you can come back and proudly and confidently ask them to support the next step in the journey.
Right.
And so that's kind of where Jesse is at right now. And I understand you've got some other things coming up, things that you're getting out there, but what should people know about the upcoming Ashes of Eden launch, and are you also going to be on any convention circuits this year to promote the series now that it's out into the wild a little bit more?
I'm still I'm waitlisted on a couple. I'm still waiting to hear back from them, but as soon as I know, it'll be all over social media. Usually our home convention is Anime NYC. Every now and then we do Anime Expo LA and Big Apple Comic Con, New York Comic Con are places we've also been. I don't know if we're going to be this year, but fingers crossed we're getting in. And Ashes of Eden issue 2 coming up in July. I'm going to announce it here first. This is a ComixLaunch exclusive. Breaking the news here. We launch on July 18th.
July 18th. All right. You've heard it here first, folks. But go get on that pre-launch notify me list. You can check out some of the imagery, great imagery from the series, and there's Jesse there out there shilling, selling his book,
right?
on the
Slinging
convention
books.
circuit. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing the insight, Jesse. It's been great to talk to you and connect with you once again, and just sharing that insight from someone that has now officially fully been through the trenches and is not scared off to, and is willing to do it again. So appreciate that.
Maybe
final,
not a, maybe,
any just final words of encouragement or wisdom or pro tip for the creator out there that just might be a little bit behind where you are at in your journey?
just give yourself grace. I have to do this every day. I think I have a beautiful, hey, thanks, Ryan. I appreciate it, man. Ryan's a fellow ComixLaunch course mate. So cool
That's
to
right.
see you here,
Yep.
Ryan.
He says the new project looks great, and shout out to Ryan, the prof, Professor Clater.
Yes. Yeah, just again, give yourself grace. I think I have this beautiful Achilles heel of loving to bite off so much more than I can chew. And I think that comes from being in the film world and then going into education, where, like, you know, teachers, we have more homework than students. Like, let's be real.
Yeah, and it never turns off, right?
So it never turns off. And at a certain point, we need therapy for that. So I'm a big advocate for therapy. After the launch last year, actually, you know, we won our first Kickstarter. It was amazing. We got Project We Love. I'm very proud of that. And then immediately the next day, I moved in with my girlfriend. I moved my mom into my old apartment within 24 hours, and we got a new puppy. So a lot of life changes at once. Sometimes life does that to us. Sometimes it happens, and sometimes we're slower to the goal that we want to achieve than we think we should be. The biggest thing I could say is just give yourself grace with that. A little bit every day is better than going so hard you burn out. And if you need to take a break, you need to take a break, because life, there are other things going on in life besides the thing you're creating. And sometimes those things in life need our attention also, as much as our book. So don't forget to balance those things, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and give yourself grace with that.
I think that's a great message, Jesse, and one that you know, I try to remind myself of from time to time, but don't know. Sometimes it's one of those ones that's easier to think than to actually execute on. But you know, we've got to provide that grace, and sometimes, you know, having other creators say that, and maybe the thing that we need to hear to give ourselves permission to be a little bit easier on ourselves, because it can feel like if we're not launching, if we're not hitting all of our deadlines or hitting all of our goals, that we're failing or we're falling behind. But the reality is there is no one race that we're all running, and it's not like you just get one shot to do this. Life is, it goes by fast, but it is also, it's long, and there's a lot of opportunity to build over the course of a career. So don't necessarily feel like you have to get it all done right away, because you probably have more time than you realize.
Yeah. Well said.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you hanging out with me. I'm excited to see more from you and this series, and I'm glad I got to learn a little bit more about the background of it and share that with the ComixLaunch audience.
Thanks, Tyler.
Thanks for taking the time, man.
No, thanks. Thank you for your awesome questions. Congratulations on the crowdfunding planner. I'm so excited. I just backed it right before I jumped on live with you. So I can't wait to hold it in my hands and be like, this is the physical manifestation of the thing that got me this far so far.
Well, happy to make sure that it gets into your hands, and I'm excited to see what else comes from it. But thanks,
Awesome,
Jesse, and thanks to everyone else that tuned in today or catch the replay. We appreciate you, and we can't wait to see what you launch next. Take care, everybody.
Awesome. See you soon.
See you.
The ComixLaunch Planner is going to give you a roadmap so you can launch confidently, whether this is your first campaign or you've launched a bunch. Hey, I'm George O'Connor. I've kickstarted 10 projects raising over $50,000, and ComixLaunch is a big reason for my success. Tyler has studied Kickstarter for over a decade, and he's going to help you avoid pitfalls and give you the best insights to make sure that you and your project shine on the platform. He's also going to help you with the mental aspect so you can stay sharp and positive and professional throughout the entire launch. This planner is going to give you the tips and insights Tyler's created from over the years of studying the platform and helping hundreds of people launch their projects. As someone who's been with Tyler since the beginning of ComixLaunch and has absolutely benefited from his insights and trainings, I cannot recommend the ComixLaunch planner enough.
I've been using the tools from ComixLaunch since 2020 to run all these successful Kickstarter campaigns. When it comes to running a Kickstarter, I never thought I could do it until I started using Tyler's tools and tips and tricks. He really has this great way of putting everything together and making it so easy to tackle. So something big and challenging like a Kickstarter campaign becomes really easy to do when it's broken down into these steps. My name is Melissa J. Massey, purveyor of fine fantasy comics and tragic shenanigans. I would recommend this to anyone who wants to launch a book or a comic on Kickstarter. It really breaks down the process and helps you to position yourself well so that you can stand out and deliver a fantastic book to your audience. I mean, the results don't lie, and the pile's getting a little hard to hold. So check out the ComixLaunch Planner. It's going to be the best investment you make for yourself and for your creative business.
Before ComixLaunch, I struggled to raise $3,000 on my first campaign. And since joining ComixLaunch, I have raised more than $370,000 across more than 30 campaigns. That's a huge difference. It's quantifiable. Hey everybody, it's Clay Adams. I'm the writer of Blazing Blade of Frankenstein, Dream Quest, co-writer of Carmilla Unbound, Prodigal Son, and co-editor of the Nightmare Theater horror anthology. I wish I had this planner years ago. Tyler, what are you doing? Get on this. Start shipping these things out. Can we just skip the campaign? Let's go.